I've been in Kentucky since 1984. I came here as a reporter for the Courier-Journal. I am from New York City, born in Brooklyn, New York, raised on the Lower East Side and East Harlem. Well, I was involved in the civil rights movement. I was with the SNCC office in New York City. I worked with some of the legends of, of the civil rights movement. So I grew up in that era where being an activist was pretty much, what you did if you were young, and particularly being in Harlem at that time. We thought that the cause was so righteous, that for justice, that if we had to die, we had to die. And so for me, I think of activism as what's in your hand. What can you do in the immediate thing? We can't all do, the same thing or everything. And I always feel like God gave me the gift of James Aronson, who told me to become a journalist and a writer. And I feel like my gift, my way of serving my community was to write about us. And I always thought that I always wanted my writing to be underneath the surface, a love letter to Black people, because I felt like we have been so maligned and, abused, that I wanted to let people know how beautiful we are. And I wanted them to know how we celebrate Christmas, how, like everybody else, we love our kids. We want the best for our kids. I didn't want it to be nothing but the pathologies. So for me, my activism was when I was active physically, and then when I became a writer, when I could tell our stories. And for me, that was my activism. I want our community to be more compassionate. And before you get to community, it has to start inside of us as individuals. And I just think if you're capable of caring about somebody else, you are capable of changing the world. Thank you to the Center for Women and Families and to my nominator, Sadiqa Reynolds, for being named the 2022 Woman of Distinction. I'm loving that I'm in the company of such fantastic women in our community who are doing great things. When you honor me, it's not just me that you honor, but you honor my parents, Betty and George Winston, and you honor my whole family and my culture and my community and the things that I've done. It is really something to be celebrated by a place that you have come to love. Wasn't born in Louisville, I was born in New York, but it is such an honor to be honored by this particular organization for all the work that it does. And I just thank you all for thinking of me as a 2022 Woman of Distinction, and I do feel distinguished.